Hey PA Junkies! How are you? I don't know where you are in PA, but I hope you're doing well because the last week we've had a lot of smokiness happening as a result of the Canadian wildfire. Yes.
Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
It was actually very bad here in southeastern PA. I've heard it was bad in a lot of different places, so I hope you're doing well health-wise, number one. It is pouring down rain, which I've been praying for. I also realize I'm aging myself when I say, you know, we really needed that rain. Cheers to getting older. Anyway, we're getting right back into creepy PA stories today, and this is a masterpiece of a creepy PA story. It is so well written, and this story was submitted by Maddie in Elizabeth Township, PA. And Maddie, I just want to say, please be a writer, because the way that this is written is fantastic, and I can't wait to read it. Before I get into the story, allow me to do my usual housekeeping. If you like it here, if you like PA, if you like PA paranormal, PA quirks, dialect, all the different PA things, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified of future videos that air here on my channel every Wednesday. I also have a new series coming up, and I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but it is, it's amazing. You guys are gonna love it. It might not be for everybody, but it is for me. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, it speaks to my soul so deeply, and I cannot wait to show you what it is. I'm so excited. I can't keep a secret, so I'm just gonna stop talking and quit while I'm ahead. This story was submitted by Maddie in Elizabeth Township, PA. Not to be mistaken for the Elizabeth Township in Lancaster County. This is the one in Allegheny County, because could we ever make things easy here? We can't. If you've been in PA long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've got counties, townships, boroughs, all the things. And if you've been to the Dravo Cemetery, you know that it's not only beautiful, but it's absolutely haunted. I personally have not been to the Dravo Cemetery, but I did watch a short, very good video on it by WQED in Pittsburgh, and it's really interesting. So the Dravo Cemetery, and it explains it in this video, you can Google it, it's on YouTube, called The Great Ride Dravo Cemetery. The Dravo Cemetery, for a backstory, has a lot of history behind it, dating all the way back to the 1700s. I'm just gonna kind of reiterate what's in this video that I saw online, but basically the cemetery is located on a plot of land that's on a very large bend in the Youghiogheny River. Way back in the 1700s, there was a queen, Queen Aliquippa. She was the leader of the Seneca tribe, and she and her people inhabited this land. And in the video, it references that it was specifically in the summertime. So that's history in of itself. And there's also now today on the campground, Queen Aliquippa Campground, named after Queen Aliquippa herself, where people camp out and, you know, they do all the fun things in nature. It was a century later that the Dravo Methodist Church and the cemetery was built on the land. There is a railway around this area, and apparently way back when, there was a spark in the engine that caused a massive fire, and it destroyed the church completely. Well, they ended up rebuilding the church, and then it burned down again. Not great omen. And it was after the second fire that the church was just left there and abandoned for good. So what I found to be most interesting in this video by WQED is the number of gravestones that are unidentified. As of 2021, I will say, they identified 76 gravestones. I'm pretty sure that's the correct number. 9 of these gravestones that have been identified belong to Civil War veterans, and then there's one that belongs to a veteran from the War of 1812. So, yeah, I'm gonna safely assume this place is popping with paranormal activity. And listen, there are stories on stories out there. If you have a story of your own from the Dravo Cemetery, feel free to share it in the comments. But I find this to be so incredibly beautiful, this land. It's absolutely gorgeous. That is the one thing about PA that I love so much, is the nature. It's just absolutely so beautiful in the spring and summer, especially with all the lush greenery. The fall foliage is incredible. Like if you go to the Pocono Mountains in the fall, for example, like I don't think people really understand, unless you've been there or you've experienced the fall foliage in PA, I don't think they really understand how glorious it is. I am a nature girl through and through, and the Dravo Cemetery is not lacking in that. They have bike trails. And also what's very fascinating in this video is they feature this couple who came from Sonoma County, California, just to bike around. I'm like, I love it. They're just passing through. And the husband was talking about how it really brings them closer together. My husband and I have started biking together, and it's a good activity. You know, nature, I always say, is very, very healing, even if it's around a haunted cemetery. That makes it more fun. Just don't get any spirits attached to you while you're there. Good luck. Okay, we're gonna get to Maddie's story. I have to read this. By the way, again, this is in Allegheny County, not Lancaster County. There is an Elizabeth Township in Lancaster County. We're talking the western side, all right? Maddie even titled this story. Maddie, this is so good. Thank you so much for this gift, because you do have a gift. I'm honored to read this. Thank you. This story is from Maddie's personal account when she visited the Dravo Cemetery, and it is titled Dravo, because we love a simple queen. I never had any reason to believe in the supernatural. The spirits that haunted the abandoned pipe factory down in Deadman's were quiet, and I still haven't heard anything near the abandoned mines by Copper Stream. Whenever I expected ghosts to appear, they seemed to hide from my naked eyes. Dravo Cemetery had quite the history. It was a small yard without any barriers, and from what I saw, held a number of headstones jutting out from the ground in unearthly tilts. Some graves were unmarked and unnamed, others were victims of corrosion and time, and the carved names were nothing more than snaking grooves in the old stone. A giant willow tree stood next to the Allegheny Trail, inviting bikers and hikers to come relax at the creaking pavilion below, a supposed gate to the resting place of the dead. In Dravo's early years, there had once stood a church. It's known that it had burned down twice. With this knowledge, Josh and I made our 100th 2-mile trek down the trail one summer evening. The scariest thing about our journeys down there was the dark. Everything seemed to move and moan like zombies or lost souls. I kept close to him as the sun set behind the hill leading up to Stringtown. We set our things down behind the pavilion. When you grow up in Elizabeth, especially down in Buena Vista, you'd be lying if you denied being a little superstitious. We should have respect for them, Josh murmured. He nodded towards the outlines of the old headstones. Can't we bring a flashlight, I said. He shook his head. You'll be fine. Just stay close to me. Walking out in the graveyard was, well, spooky, to say the least. It was mostly clear and wisps of clouds wrapped around the moonlight. The air was humid, and the smell of the Youghiogheny downhill reminded me of muddy worms. I was in the middle of a thriller, wasn't I? Locals claimed an orphanage once stood there for a time, and with the alarming number of headstones for children, that was easy to believe. We did our best to read the headstones. A few were Civil War veterans, most were unidentifiable. The only clue we had were dates. Some were in their late teens, others 5 or 6. One was just a few months, maybe a year. The place I stood had a weight to it I couldn't shake. It pulled at the strings around my heart. I looked out into the dark woods around me. What or who was lurking out there? I had a lingering feeling that we weren't alone, like the whole world was empty, but something unseen still evaded my senses. There was no comfort nor escape. We were being watched by something in the brush. I think a little light would help, Josh finally said. He walked over to the bench where all of our things were, leaving me in the cemetery. I faced the headstones and the darkness behind them. I stood still and watched. I didn't allow the fear of what I may see stop my exploration. The darkness frightened me most days, but this felt significant. A cold shiver raced down my neck, and the air around me dropped a few degrees. Something pulled a lock of hair on the back of my head. To say I froze would be over-exaggerating. It all happened so fast, and by the time I had stopped moving to process what was happening, I whipped my head around and saw empty space behind me. My eyes were drawn to the edge of the cemetery where a path in the tree line went to the river. It was dark. I was afraid. I turned back. Josh stood at the benches, looking in my direction. He was rooted near the tree, and when I began moving, his gaze lingered somewhere behind me for a moment before he fished out his flashlight. Do you believe in ghosts? I swallowed. Yeah, I'd say so. I don't want to sound crazy here. I glanced behind me. Something just touched me. My hair. Something pulled my hair. I was expecting an eye roll, something that declared me crazy in his eyes, but Josh gave me a look of wonder. He nodded to the edge of the tree line and told me that just moments before, he saw an outline of a shadow moving down the path. We were not alone out there. I have chills all over my body reading that. Listen, shadow figures don't lie, okay? If you see a shadow figure, I've seen shadow figures. It is not a pleasant experience. It doesn't always mean that it's like horrible, demonic, negative energy. At least this is from what I hear around the paranormal community. But shadow figures do not lie. And when you see one, it's unforgettable. It is not something that leaves you. So this whole experience of Maddie and Josh being out there and Josh literally confirming what she probably felt tug her hair is, oh my goodness. Why do spirits have to pull our hair? I'm like, please, don't touch my hair, okay? For as chilling as Maddie's story is, it doesn't surprise me at all given the history of the land, but oh my god, it's just so creepy. And if you guys look up pictures of the Dravo Cemetery, at night, there are woods around, and it's... I don't know that I would be well. If you guys have any ghostly, paranormal, spiritual experiences at the Queen Aliquippa campground or at the Dravo Cemetery, let us know in the comments. Because I highly doubt, from at least from what I've been reading and watching online, that Maddie's story is just some isolated incident. There's too much history. Also, in the video I was watching, they mentioned that there's a two-headed dog that's been seen, and like a ghostly dog. That's kind of crazy. There have also been rumors that a ghost train passes through at night when there's actually no train there, even though there's a railway. People hear it and it's a whole thing, and that's really, really, really creepy. But this is not the only area of our Commonwealth that's insanely haunted. I mean, we are one of the original 13 colonies. Like, there's a lot of history to unpack in PA. I mean, just even people's homes. And it expands far beyond Gettysburg. I know everybody talks about Gettysburg, but there are so many places with paranormal spiritual activity to explore. So if you're somebody into this kind of thing, come to PA, check it out. A lot of different spots, and you know I love talking about them. So Maddie, thank you for sharing your story. This was absolutely amazing. You are an amazing writer, and I just so enjoyed reading that. If you guys love these PA ghost stories, well, I love you too. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification to be notified for future videos that air here on my channel every Wednesday, and stay tuned, y'all. I have a totally different series that's launching this summer, 2023, baby. And I know a lot of you, maybe not all of you, it's not gonna be for everybody, but a lot of you will love it. That's all I'm gonna say right now. I want to say so much more. You have no idea. This series is like my whole existence. I'm making this series my entire personality trait because it really basically is. But it is something that so deeply connects with me on a very personal, emotional level. And I know you guys will love it. So stay tuned. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.